Good afternoon. My name is Commissioner Richard Ross. I'm from the Philadelphia Police Department. I know there is a lot of concern and a lot of attention being spread around an incident that happened here in Philadelphia at Starbucks at 1801 Spruce Street. And on Thursday at about 4:40, police received a 911 call for a disturbance and trespassing. When the police arrived, they were met by Starbucks employees who said that two males were trespassing and had refused to leave the establishment. According to employees, they had seen these two males come in, they sat down, and after being seated, they decided that they needed to use the restroom. Starbucks said that according to their company policy, they do not allow non-paying members or non-paying people of the public to come in and use the restroom. And so they then asked these two males to leave. These two males refused to leave, and the police were called. Now, when the police were summoned to the scene, they get there and they get this story that I just began to outline. They then approached the males. They asked the males to leave because they're being asked to leave by Starbucks employees. In fact, in an effort to quell the situation, officers actually called for a supervisor so that it would not get out of hand, something that was a good decision. And 3 different occasions, the officers asked the males politely to leave the location because they were being asked to leave by employees because they were trespassing. Instead, the males continued to refuse, as they had told the employees previously, and they told the officers that they were not leaving. When the call was initially made, the Starbucks employees had told the males that they were going to call police, and they said, go ahead and call police, we don't care. So police get there and they're confronted by the same type of attitude and repeatedly are told that they're not leaving. In fact, there's some alleged rhetoric about you don't know what you're doing, you're only a $45,000 a year employee or something to that regard. And so because these individuals refused to leave, because Starbucks actually called, the police did not just happen upon this event. They did not just walk into Starbucks to get coffee. They were called there for a service, and that service had to do with quelling a disturbance that had to do with trespassing. So I need to underscore the fact that these males were arrested. When they were arrested, they were taken out essentially without incident. There was no harm done to them. But after being transported to the police district in the area, the officers, after processing paperwork, discovered that Starbucks no longer was interested in prosecuting. And so at that point, those males were released from custody. It is important to emphasize and underscore that these officers had legal standing to make this arrest. Again, they were called to the scene because employees said they were trespassing. It is important for me to say that, in short, these officers did absolutely nothing wrong. They followed policy. They did what they were supposed to do. They were professional in all their dealings with these gentlemen, and instead they got the opposite back. I will say that as an African-American male, I am very aware of implicit bias. We are committed to fair and unbiased policing, and anything less than that will not be tolerated in this department. I just want to share that here we get implicit bias training for all our commanders, and we push that training down to our officers because it's very, very important. In addition, we send all our new recruits to the African American Museum as well as the Holocaust Museum down in Washington, D.C. We do this because we want people, our officers, our recruits, to understand the minute they come on board. We want them to know about the atrocities that were in fact committed by policing around the world. This is important to us. But this case also underscores the need for us to continue and expand our body-worn camera program. Currently, we have about 700 officers equipped. Unfortunately, these officers did not have one. But it emphasizes why these things are important, because you get to tell another side of the story. We're a department that's always looking to enhance and improve upon ways that we do things. And in cases like this, we will examine this one and similar ones to see if there are things that we can do better. We have not determined that as of yet, but we will continue to look into this incident as we go forward. But it's something else that I want to highlight, and let me be very clear. I own no stock in Starbucks. I just happen not to even ever frequent Starbucks. But I can tell you that there was a case involving one of our sergeants, probably a couple years ago, who went to Starbucks in full uniform, and he was also denied access to the restroom. So they are at least consistent in their policy. Again, I'm not supporting Starbucks. That is not my aim, only to tell the truth about what I know. So it is important, I felt, for all my words about this incident to be expressed so that they would not be edited. And so you can make your own value judgments based on what you have heard. But I can tell you candidly again that these officers did absolutely nothing wrong, and that they did a service that they were called to do. And if you think about it logically, that if a business calls and they say that someone is here that I no longer wish to be in my business, they now have a legal obligation to carry out their duties, and they did just that. We will continue to work forward. There will likely be a press conference about this in the future. I just thought that it was very important that we get out some facts that I did not believe were being put out right now. And so I know this will continue to generate, a lot of social media interest, but it is important that you hear that from me. It is important that citizens of the city and around the country, for that matter, hear that from me as well as our police officers. So you will hear more from us in the near future, but I just thank you for taking the time to listen to a side of the story that we wanted to share.